Hello, fellow spooky people. Welcome back to Ghoulie Girlies, your one-stop spot for all things spooky. I'm the Resident Evil loading screen that's playing on loop while you sleep on the couch, Carly.
I am your tater tots that you left in the oven and got all burnt and crispy because I'm sunburnt, Jalen.
I like that. I like that. You're sunburned, you're getting sun. I'm a little jealous, stuck in gloomy Ohio.
Yeah, you get sunburnt when you leave Ohio, fun fact.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I'm stuck here. So let's start from our last episode. We did a lot. A lot. So to start, me and my fiance a while back went to Witch's Grave. It's a haunted part of the Ravenna Woods, and it's said to be haunted by a woman who was wrongfully tried as a witch, sentenced to death by being crushed with rocks. It took a lot of hiking and out of breath climbing to even see a glimpse of the 1800s ruins deep in the woods. We never did find the witch's grave, but we did, however, find the ruined house remains of the Elliott family homestead. The site was absolutely gorgeous, surrounded by nature and babbling brooks. Sadly, most of the ruins were vandalized and destroyed by people that held no respect for the site. All in all, it was a great experience and truly a beautiful place to see. In the same episode, Jalen and I went to two separate places and almost died by geese.
That's true. We did.
Death by geese. First place we went to was Standing Rock, which is centered in a river right by a cemetery. So the atmosphere was very grim and quiet. That's the best way I feel like I can describe it.
I agree.
Yeah. We didn't get much activity from the spirits that may be surrounding the rock, but we did get some activity from spirits that are buried in the cemetery. At least that's what I can remember from our spirit box session over there.
Yes.
Yeah. So Standing Rock is a very interesting part of Kent history, from Native Americans that used it for a waypoint to the founders of Kent almost naming the city Rockton after it. Isn't that insane? Could you imagine? Yeah, I live in Rockton.
I go to Rockton University.
I go to Rockton University. That's actually kind of fire. Sounds really cool.
I go to Kent Rock University.
Kent Rock. See, that sounds cooler than just Kent State.
Oh my god, it'd be like Kent Rocks. Anyway, sorry.
Kent Rocks. They missed out on a great opportunity. Someone needs to hire us for naming cities.
We need to be hired for a lot of things.
We do. We do. So we do have an unreleased episode of us at Kent State, actually, great segue, where we investigate the May 4th memorial. That episode is on pause until we do our debrief, which we plan on doing soon. So that is coming your way on YouTube at Ghoulie Girlies. Eventually. It was pretty emotional, I would say, honestly, in some aspects. It was a little, because it's a very real tragedy that happened there. So it was a pretty sad, just not experiencing what they experienced, but being at the place where they experienced it. And it was a little scary, I won't lie. We got freaked out. We did
Yeah,
get freaked out.
we got called out by name by a spirit, and they let
Yep.
us know who they were. And after researching, well, Carly knew this. I did not. That a spirit literally was the same name as an actual victim of the shooting at Kent
Yep.
State.
Yeah, that name
And
was repeated a few times too.
yep. And I had no idea. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to find out. I don't think we filmed it, but when we were walking back to the car, I was like, "You do know that was one of the names. I think it was Jennifer or something along those
Sandra.
lines." Sandra. It was Sandra. It was like her grave was right next to us, or not her grave, but where her body fell during that tragedy. It has a nameplate, and I was like, "You do know that was one of the names?" And Jalen was just baffled.
I was like, huh?
So, with that aside, let's get into today's topic, which is HellTown, Ohio.
What?
HellTown. So, Helltown did not get its name for nothing. Across the country, there are many towns labeled with hell in the name, but this one truly takes the cake. There are many, and I mean many, urban legends surrounding this township. So many, in fact, that residents around started to tie activity outside of the town back to it. So, you might be wondering, Carly, what is Helltown? Let me tell you. Helltown is a small area within Boston Township, once called Boston Village, in North Summit County, Ohio. In 1974, the government bought out the homes, forcing residents to move. The idea was to demolish the town and let the national park take over, but in doing so, the ghost town was created. You know how, like, way back when governments would do a whole bunch of just like buy out residents so that they could use towns and stuff as target practice?
Mm-hmm.
Weird stuff that the government would use it for, but that's pretty much what happened to Helltown. The government bought the properties and buildings faster than they could take them down, creating a terrifyingly eerie abandoned spot for urban legends to be born. Many of the homes were used for fire training or left to rot with boards covering any openings. So they would just kind of set places on fire and have firemen practice on it.
Why not?
You can visit this town, but at your own risk. In 2016, the town was finally demolished, allowing the nature of Cuyahoga National Park to reclaim its land. Many tales come from this area, so let's break them down. Okay, this one is the one that freaked me personally out the most because the urban legend with it is just horrifying and kind of gross. Prepare yourself. The legend of the school bus. On an ordinary day, a bus driver doing his routes is stopped by a woman in distress. The woman flags down the bus, causing the driver to halt and see what was wrong. The woman claims her son is unresponsive and needs immediate attention. The bus driver follows the woman into town, back into the woods. There is no child, only hooded figures. Once stopped, the bus is claimed to be surrounded by Satanists, and every child plus the driver is murdered in a sacrificial way.
What?
Yeah, what are your thoughts? That's it. That's the urban legend of the bus. There was like an abandoned bus back in the woods that a lot of explorers didn't know where it came from. They still don't know where it came from. And so just a tale of Satanists murdering all the children and a bus driver being lured stemmed from it.
That so Ohio is such a religious area. Like they don't want to admit it, but or maybe they do, I don't know. Ohio is so run by religion and so for example, all of the hell is real signs. And when you have a town called Helltown, there's going to create that stigma of wanting to have the Satanists running
Right.
rampant and
Right.
making it like things like that. So, with that being said, those kinds of urban legends, as a rational person in the state of Ohio, you just have to take that with a grain of salt. But
Definitely. Yeah.
there had to have been something going on if a school bus just went abandoned there. It's not
In
like
the
this is
middle of the
before
woods.
reported time. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
It was,
this
it
was
had to have been, because it was bought out in 1974. So it had to have been around that time or even before then that the bus was parked there, but just in the middle of the woods. To me, that sounds like someone just drove a bus into the middle of the woods and left it there. But also that story is so weirdly like I wouldn't say detailed, but so weirdly like curated that you kind of have to be like, where is this coming from?
yeah.
Well, I have an idea where the Satanist part comes from, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I don't know. So that's the story of the school bus of what people think happened.
And the fact that they don't know what actually happened is just so crazy to me.
Right,
Like, how
like
do you just
how
get the school bus?
right, how do you just get a school bus back there and why would you leave it? Like I can understand if you can't drive it back. Sure, that's probably the most reasonable explanation. Just the fact someone put together this legend of a bus driver kind enough to help a woman, but why would you also leave your route with a bus full of kids? I don't know, it was probably the 60s, so times were weird back then. I don't know.
It probably is a drug-related crime.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, you'd have to guess, not you specifically, but I would assume it was probably someone either stole a school bus or just had a school bus they weren't supposed to have.
Yeah.
Someone and a whole bunch of other people probably got high in the school bus and abandoned it there because it was stolen property and they
Oh,
couldn't put it anywhere else.
yeah.
Sorry, we're
No,
supposed to
that
be.
actually no, that makes a lot of sense, and that's like see, that's the kinda rational brain you were talking about of, like, there's obviously something else. Because a lot of people do substances, and then they steal cars, and then they go all around and then abandon the car, so that absolutely coulda happened to the school bus, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone committing a literal crime wouldn't go off and say, "Yeah, Satanists went and they went and killed all these people and it was
Right.
terrifying and I watched the whole thing."
Sure you did, Steven, sure you did.
Like, really. That's a big thing about this too, is that this town is stigmatized to be called HellTown,
I will
and
get to why it's called that
oh,
too. I'll get to why it's called that. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, because of the name, I feel like a lot of people decided to tie things to it. Like, there's even a Crybaby Bridge, which I didn't touch on because Ohio has, like, 70 Crybaby Bridges that claim that women threw their babies off of, which could have happened. I know postpartum, I just went through it 9 months ago. It was very hard, and I can't imagine not having the help that I had or medicine and things like that back then. There's like 700 crybaby bridges everywhere, dude, but Helltown also has one of them. Very, like you said, stigmatized around the name. But another legend stems from toxic waste. There is a dump site near the town called Kirajisi, is how I think it's pronounced. Not too sure. Sorry about that, guys. In the 1980s, it was discovered by the EPA that toxic waste had been dumped near Cuyahoga National Park by Helltown. This was a real environmental disaster, not an urban legend. This actually happened. Toxic waste was dumped there. And even now, some of the roads are closed because the waste still lingers, which is pretty interesting. So, because toxic waste was dumped in time, as humans do, legends of mutated animals and people started to emerge. Many park rangers did actually get sick from the disaster, but one story that can't be verified is the peninsula python, one of Ohio's main cryptids.
oh, cryptid lore.
Cryptid lore. So let's get into it. The peninsula python is a famous Ohio cryptid, like the frogman, that mutated from toxic waste. Said to be 18 plus feet long, the first report of this cryptid was actually in 1944. A farmer spotted a huge serpent across his land. As the years went on, more and more people claimed to have seen this massive freak of nature. Can you imagine? I'll get into it, but just the thought of a python being in Ohio that's like 20 plus feet long.
I
Where
was
people
just asked, what is a python a snake?
Yeah. Like in the I know so okay, sidetrack here. I know in the Amazon pythons can get huge, like giant. So I mean, I guess one could be here, but I'll get into why people think it's there. So a notable, more recent tale is of a woman watching the snake eat one of her chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gobbled up one of her chickens in front of her. I don't
Yum.
know. I don't know.
It
Uh,
I mean, that's some good taste, some good chicken.
Good chicken, I'm
Sorry.
saying, right? Homegrown and everything.
Uh,
Tyson.
that poor lady.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't imagine. But you might be wondering, so if spotted in 1944, why is serpent tied to Helltown? This snake is said to have grown even larger due to the chemical spill in the area, the toxic waste allowing it to change and grow like a sci-fi movie. How true is this? I don't know. I don't know anything about how toxic waste works. The only thing I can think of is the Joker and Harley Quinn taking a little swim and then coming out insane and very white.
That's better than me. The only thing I know about toxic waste is the candy that
Oh,
I've
the
never
sour
tried.
candy. You've
Yeah.
never tried toxic waste?
No.
Who are you?
I don't even know what it looks like.
It's, you want to guess what color it is?
Green?
Yeah, it's green. Joey, my fiance, he loves it. He loves anything sour. He will just eat all of in one handful, and I'm like, you're a freak. He's a strange man. This serpent, the python, is actually so popular in this area that the townsfolk celebrate a day out of the year for it. They
Oh,
have festivals, celebrations, community gatherings, and they play games and stuff. And I'm kind of sad I've never heard of it until this moment because I want to go to the Python parade. Are you
yeah.
kidding me? They apparently make a 20-foot like Python sculpture for
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Yeah, so the people in this area celebrate this cryptid like crazy.
There is
So
no justice for the chicken.
no, that poor lady and her chicken.
Lit Oh my god. But the people of Ohio love their cryptids.
They do love their cryptids. I know. I really want to talk about Frogman. Frogman is the funniest thing to me ever for no reason. Because Frogman, hello?
True. Doesn't Ohio also have a Mothman convention or a festival?
They
Yeah.
might. I know they have a Bigfoot convention.
Maybe they have a
Because
cryptid convention.
I think they do, because I know quote unquote Bigfoot has been spotted here a lot because of our national parks. Which, if you asked my mom about Bigfoot, she would say Bigfoot is an interdimensional being that goes through portals. I wish I was kidding.
Wow, that's
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
Bigfoot travels dimensions, according to my mommy. We'll either believe that, that's neither here or there. I will say that the townsfolk, they have their own idea of how the snake got there. So we only touched on the fact that maybe it got larger from the toxic waste or mutated due to the toxic waste. The townfolk, they may believe that, but how the snake got there was it was part of a circus that was traveling in that area, and there was an actual recorded like carnival crash, and they think that that python escaped off of the carnival bus and lived and resides in that area and just keeps getting bigger and bigger because nothing's really stopping it from eating that poor woman's chickens.
This is kind of a wholesome story though, because if you got a cryptid python that's hopped up on toxic waste and the worst it did was eat some poor woman's chicken, I feel like we could have worse.
We could absolutely have worse. That is true. We could
Oh,
have the goat man.
true. I was scared you were gonna say, and it gets worse. I was gonna say
No,
that.
it does not. That's yeah, that's the serpent. But no matter what you believe from the serpent tale, we can all agree how terrifying it would be to see a giant snake in a cornfield. Because we're surrounded by cornfields. Could you imagine you're just driving by and you see a huge python just off in the road? No.
We give it a little kiss.
Give it a little kiss. You would give the peninsula python a little kiss.
No, I wouldn't give any reptile a little kiss. Sorry.
That's okay. I actually, if I saw a giant snake in Ohio, I think I would just go to space. I would be like, even
Yeah.
Ohio's not safe from this? What the heck?
Oh, when I see that giant python, because I'm going to now. I'm not even in Ohio, but I'm gonna walk up to it. I'm gonna give it a little kiss, and then I'm gonna say goodbye.
Give it an offering, give it a chicken. So far we touched on the bus, which ties into Satanists, and we touched on the python. The first urban legend of the bus ties into our next and last one. The python really was just really cool to me that I had to talk about it because of the fact there's a celebration for it one day out of the year that I want to go to now, and I'm gonna make you go with me.
I'll go.
Dude, imagine there's a parade for this python.
The python parade.
The
We need to
python
bring chicken.
parade. Dude, we gotta bring chickens. Alive or cooked? What are we doing?
Who else is gonna find us funny? Is anyone else still watching?
So, the last and most popular urban legend that we're about to talk about is the HellTown Church. So, this is actually where HellTown gets its name. Woo, from a church. Crazy, right? There used to be a great white chapel in the middle of town. Some believe it was there when the town was built, while others believe that Satanists built it. So the church was Presbyterian, stood tall and proud over the town. When visitors would ignore the no trespassing sign and enter the town, they were met with a truly chilling sight. The church was decorated with upside down crosses. This led to rumors erupting throughout Ohio about devil worshippers taking over the town. This is part of the reason hell got tied to the town. And if I were to go into an abandoned town and I saw a church with upside down crosses, my first thought would also be Satanist, because that's blasphemy, right? That's like you're not unless you're talking about Saint Peter or Saint Paul, whoever has the upside down cross. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But unless you're talking about one of those guys, then it's kind of like, okay, that's malevolent. That's not good. So Helltown got its name because of the church. As with the bus, many people say Satanists practice dark rituals and sacrifices in the town, even trying to lure people into the town to take their lives. So there's been reports of people like hearing just voices calling to them by the town or seeing hooded figures, stuff stuff like that. Nothing that's actually factual based, that's why it's an urban legend. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the time in abandoned towns, people find the remnants of Satan worshippers or dark rituals, you know? I'm sure you've seen videos like that before.
I don't know. As you're talking about this, I'm just like vividly imagining like a whole bunch of dudes in cloaks doing little dances around a fire.
That's kind of what I
And
envisioned.
yeah, I'm torn between two of like that sounds fun and that sounds scary.
Depends on what they're doing. It would be
That's
fun.
true.
But what
That's
people
yeah,
assume they're doing, I feel like that would be terrifying to witness. But that's
true.
also part of the reason people always say if you visit HellTown before it was demolished in 2016 to visit at your own risk, because a lot of people in the area believed that just dark practices were happening there because it was an abandoned town. Again, I don't know how true that is. I'll talk about it later, but park rangers actually started a lot of the ghost stories in the town to keep people out. Yeah.
Oh.
So which is interesting. But so in reality, the church was modeled after the Gothic style. And within the Gothic style, they have upside down crosses. You can either believe that it was intentional by Satan worshippers or that's just how it was designed. But I mean, you can never really know at this point since it was a long time ago that that town was built. It was built in like the 1800s, like 1804, I believe, and then it wasn't considered a town until 1811. But yeah, the Gothic style has upside down crosses, so a lot of people believe that that's why the crosses were there, but then again, a lot of people like to believe that dark things were happening. But the church is in the heart of an abandoned town, so that led to a lot of horror stories to be created. How do you feel about that church?
Yeah, the question of is it just the style of the times and people are making assumptions or were people doing crazy stuff? And my honest opinion on it is it probably is a mixture of both. Either there were just regular crosses there and people put them upside down just to be
Oh, I didn't
vandalizers.
think about that.
That I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of something like that. And then if people are going to run into abandoned town, why wouldn't they do some dark magic? You know what I'm saying? Like they're
Right.
away from their homes. Why wouldn't they?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like the prime place. No one's gonna be there, and I mean, the only worry if you went into Helltown before it was demolished was trespassing. Now I'm pretty sure you can just walk on the land because it's part of the national park. But beforehand, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's kind of like why wouldn't you do weird things in an abandoned town if no one's there to see you do it?
And how many murders did people get away with in an abandoned town?
I never thought about that. So true, because who's looking? Who's
Mhm.
looking there?
What happened in that school bus? What happened? Why did the government decide to completely destroy and demolish and get rid of the town?
Right.
I feel like some
I know part of the reason why is because they did want the national park to take it over. That was their original goal in the 70s, was to demolish it so that there was room for the park to grow, which is kind of cool environmentally. But it's also like they let it rot for 40 plus years that it's like, at that point, why'd you do it? You know?
And they're giving tainted land that had toxic waste spills and things like that to a park.
Right. I know they
I don't
did
know.
clean it up the best that they could from what I read. The EPA did, but there was warnings for a while still that the land had toxic waste on it, and I'm sure there's still lingering the peninsula python. I'm sure there's still lingering effects from it. Not saying that I fully believe that it mutated animals, but again, I don't know how toxic waste works. Maybe I should look into that as a side hobby, not to obtain toxic waste, but to
You
look
should
into how it goes.
just become an environmental scientist as a side hobby.
Bet. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Part-time podcaster, part-time environmental scientist.
Part-time stay-at-home mom, part-time environmentalist, part-time podcaster. I'm gonna do it all. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of park rangers made up ghost stories about a quote unquote stalker that would follow visitors or harm them, follow them home, hurt them at home, just to keep
Mhm.
people out of the town. So now knowing that, doesn't that make you think like what other things did they fabricate to keep people out? Like if they fabricated the bus story, if they fabricated Satanists being there.
Why do we need people out so bad? I
Right.
get it, we don't want people vandalizing and stuff like that, but I'm just saying, if you're trying to keep vandalizers away, if you're trying to keep spooky people away, why would you tell them all these spooky things? Like, you guys are telling me stuff that makes me want to run into HellTown with a
Yeah, it
helmet
makes me
on
wanna go there.
and
Right.
a mask.
I will say too, like, I think it's kinda silly that they would make up those stories to keep people out because I feel like they know that that also attracts, especially, like, teenagers. Like, Joey, he went to Helltown when he was younger before it was demolished, and he said there was absolutely nothing going on, and I was like, "Oh, that's boring."
What was cleaned up? I
Yeah,
just I was just thinking the government doesn't just plant weird stories like that, or park rangers. People don't just plant weird stories like that if there wasn't something else going on. Now
some
I'm
truth to it,
creating the
yeah.
conspiracy theories. I'm
Right.
debunking the first ones and then creating new ones.
That's what this is about, baby. Yeah, I don't know what part of Helltown he went into because I asked him if he saw the church or saw the school bus, and he said no. So I don't know if he was just on the outskirts or if they already demolished the church, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, him and his cousin went there when they were younger, when they were still in school. So,
Mm.
but yeah, he said it was boring. There's nothing happening there, and I'm like, well, one, you went in daytime, and two, you didn't go with spirit gear, did you, buddy? Helltown is definitely one of the more truly terrifying spots in Ohio, which Helltown is also part of the reason. I don't know if you've ever seen those magazines in grocery stores that say Haunted Ohio. Helltown is part of the reason that was created, Haunted Ohio, because so many stories came out of it. There's a lot of stories I didn't touch on, but to me, they just seemed not as important, like the Cryberry Bridge, or there's reports of women walking the streets or spirits stopping cars, stuff that you hear a lot in other parts of Ohio too. So I wanted to touch on the things that make Helltown Helltown, make it unique,
Mhm.
that really put the hell in the name.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what are your thoughts overall on Helltown?
I think I think there is definitely a lot more than what we have. And I think there has to be something going on beyond behind the scenes. How much were people able to get away with when this town was abandoned, first of all? That's my first
Right.
big
Yeah, true. True.
um yeah, cuz when places become just a free for all like that, my first thought is just where are
What
the
else
bodies,
happened? Yeah, where
you
are the
know?
bodies? What else happened? Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I do think a lot of it is Ohioans being a little bored.
What else can we do here? Let's create up the peninsula python.
Honestly, I do believe that one.
Right? That's like one of the most believable things I've read, shockingly.
Where is he now?
Where is he
Like,
now?
did the toxic waste make him immortal or her?
Could have, right? Because 1940. How long do snakes live?
Not that long.
He would have to be like 70 by
80s.
now. 80s, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if it was in, yeah, 1944 was the first reported. I don't know, man. He's still lurking out there. Maybe his spirit is lurking, and that's what people see nowadays.
You know what? And that makes sense because if it was bounded to that town,
It's just stuck there. That poor python.
yeah. And what my other question too is what happened to get that place so infested with spirits? I mean, it had to have been
Right,
the a lot of the Satanism stuff and
right,
things of that nature.
right. Because there's like no reported mass killings or anything like that with the town. That's why. That's why I say a lot of it is just urban legends. The only one that has like facts behind it is that goddamn python. That's the only one that has like reported, like multiple people have seen this python. But everything else
That's
is just speculation or trying to explain things that people don't understand, like humans do. We try to explain things we don't understand, and I guess the first resortment to an abandoned town with a church that has upside down crosses is Satan worshippers.
yeah. And meanwhile, it's probably a bunch of stupid teenagers,
Yeah, literally.
like
That's
crazy.
yeah.
But that's how a lot of these urban legends goes is stupid teenagers running around being
Right.
crazy. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's what the Satanists want you to think. They're not there, and that it is a bunch of crazy teenagers. So really, I just talked us back completely into a circle. Infinite content glitch.
You think the Satanists are they're working in the shadows and they want us to believe that it was just teenagers doing drugs in the corner, but really it's them. They're
It,
there.
it's probably teenage high Satanists.
Oh, edgy teens. It's just edgy teen. I bet you it was just edgy teens that were scaring people that like went to go look at Helltown. But then also, I don't know, because then you think about how there's so many reported abandoned buildings, like I said, that have like actual evidence of devil worship happening. But
That's
I don't think there was actual evidence of it. I mean, now we'll never know. The buildings are destroyed.
it.
So
It really. It could have been a community-based thing where people were inviting spirits into their homes, whether they thought they were protectors or
mm,
what have you, and it could have turned out bad because if there's no murders, where are the ghosts coming from? You're asking for it.
true.
That's why you got to be careful with your ghost hunting. Anyway, go ahead.
True. So I was gonna say the spirits could have also came from the people that used to live there, like when it was first found, because it was like I said, it was founded in the 1800s, literally like 1801 or 1804 or something like that. I mean, a lot of people probably lived and died there, and a lot of people were there because of the Cuyahoga River and the canal and things like that. So, I mean, spirits could have been there because of the fact that it was around for over 200 years, and then people doing dark magic or rituals, what have you, could have just escalated it. Like, made it just 10 times worse for everyone. Everyone's got to ruin it for everybody by doing
Yup.
dark magic.
Yup. Everyone's got to ruin it for everybody by doing dark magic.
But
I'm talking back into a circle again. Nurse, she's talking in circles again.
she's out again.
Nurse, please go get her.
Nurse, please go get her. She's out. She's roaming. She's talking about Satanist teens.
Not again.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Joey actually went there. Because we were before we did the witch's grave, we were actually gonna go there. But then he was like, "There's nothing there anymore," and I was like, "Ah, man, how stupid."
I'm
But
sure there's still high energy though.
I bet,
And
kind of like with Molly Stark being demolished, I bet you if we go there with the spirit box, we'll still get energies because I mean energy can't be created or destroyed. So once you destroyed the building they were in, where do they go? They're stuck on the land.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also like too, you know how a lot of people when they build houses on like native land or like what was once native land, their houses tend to be like super super haunted. Could be
Mhm.
something like that too. They could have built on HellTown could have been built on native land, something
Ooh,
like that, and it's tied to spirits in that sense.
that's it.
You
You
think?
literally just figured it out. Yeah. Now I'm
Big
mad.
brain, big brain, big brain moment. Because that's, I
I'm
mean,
not.
think about it. 1800 settlers and the
Yeah.
white man. So
Yeah. In Ohio.
yeah, and they were there
Wow.
specifically for the river, and a lot of native tribes would build their homes and things on rivers. Easy access to water, fishing, animal life when they would come to drink, stuff like that. So now that I'm saying it out loud, I do think maybe Helltown was built on Native American land.
Wow. No, that I almost just got into fake magical powers territory. I was gonna be like, and wouldn't it be interesting that they made an animal have abilities? That does
Immortality.
not make sense.
Immortality Python.
Immortality Python?
Immortality Python? Yeah, I think thinking about it though in the sense of like maybe it was built on sacred land could also tie to the fact that people wanted to do dark magic there because of how much energy is there as well. Rivers and nature tend to bring in a lot of energy. Like I said, I mean animals go there to drink, people hunt, people fish, people take their canoes out on the river. Settlers really wanted to go there for the fact that they could get water and hunting stuff. I already said that's mainly Ohio was used for immigrants way back when because of our canal systems, which is interesting. A lot of immigrants from Italy, which my dad's side, that's where all my Italian families came from. They lived in Cleveland, Ohio because of the fact that there was boating systems and stuff like that. And then Ohio slowly started to not be the capital of that, and that's also what happened to Helltown is it started to not be booming. It was one of the first cities, quote unquote, villages, cities built that was like used for work like that. And then slowly as Ohio dwindled and more states started to be like, I can do that too. It started to die and then became more poorer and Taylor's oldest time.
Wow. Yep.
I know weirdly a lot about Ohio and like I fell asleep, the side tangent. I fell asleep the other night to a video talking about how Ohio was once a booming industrial state and we were like the capital because of the fact the Cuyahoga River and the Ohio River tie back to the oceans and stuff like that. We were one of the main places a lot of African immigrants and a lot of like Italy, Germany, Ireland, like those kind of people came over because they wanted work, and Ohio was one of the best places for them to get work.
And we had pretty fertile land. We still do.
You
That's
still
like
do. Yeah,
the
I learned
made
about that and I was like,
some
that honestly made a lot of sense with how many like fields and farms we have. Why is the soil so fertile?
the
The only thing I
glaciers.
can Oh yeah, right, glacier rocks. Forgot about that. I was gonna say because of the peninsula python, but glaciers
It was
work too, I
him.
guess. It was him. He fertilized the whole soil.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Oh, that snake. That snake. We gotta go to that festival. That would be so much fun.
Yeah,
It
we do.
truly would be. Just to see people celebrate a huge mythical like snake, dude. Come on.
Perfect.
It's perfect. That was Helltown, and we truly hope you enjoyed this episode of Ghoulie Girlies. Tune in next week for another spooky chat. As always, sleep tight and don't let the ghost bite. Wink. Bye.
Bye.